Introducing to you first, fighting out of the blue corner, representing the Philippines. With a professional boxing record of 2 victories, no losses, and 1 bout even. Please give it up for Renato Cha. And his opponent fighting out of the red corner, representing Russia. With a professional record of 2 victories, 1 loss, and no bouts even. Please give it up for Khisrav Kuranbaev. And your referee in charge of the action once it begins, Ajahn Khisrav Kuranbaev. And the 3 judges scoring ringside, judge number 1, Ajahn Warawut Duan Khao. Judge number 2, Ajahn Thanakon Kantong. Judge number 3, Mr. Carlos Costa.
Okay, folks, welcome back. Here we go. We move on to fight number 5. It is the Philippines taking on Russia. Really looking forward to this matchup. These two have both got 3 professional fights on their records. Renato Cha in the blue corner, 3 fights, 2 victories, no defeats but 1 draw. And then you've got Khisrav Kuranbaev with 3 fights in his record, 2 victories and 1 defeat, no draws. Yeah, really looking forward to this one, Jimmy. This looks like it's going to really heat up the card.
Yeah, and I'm very familiar with Renato as well. We've seen him fight before. We saw him have that draw. He's always in close fights. He stepped away from the MMA ring to become a professional boxer as well. I mean, when you look at Renato, he looks like a very intimidating, scary guy, especially when he's in that ring, but he's one of the sweetest and most friendly people outside of that ring. Very excited to see him in this professional boxing fight, so here we are. So far, very nice combination landed by Renato as well. Both fighters clearly respecting each other in the center of that ring.
Yeah, they definitely are, but again, we've kind of got a similar kind of matchup to what we had in our previous bout, where we've got a taller fighter versus a shorter fighter. And at the moment, Renato Cha switching to southpaw, but he really is naturally an orthodox fighter, Jimmy.
Yeah, well, it's a typical MMA thing to do as well. They like to switch stance, they like to throw shots from all different angles, but they always seem to bring it over into the boxing realm as well, which tends to mean they're a little bit off balance and their shots don't land as clean as they would like to, because when you've got bigger gloves, you're not really trying to aim for the knuckles anymore, you're just trying to hit your opponent with any surface of that glove. So it's one of those big transitions that Renato's got to get used to here. Just throw the shot, even if it's not going to hit hard. Khisrav with a very nice combination. He gets himself out of danger as well. So I really like to see Khisrav doing stuff like this. It's just not allowing himself to engage with a shorter, powerful fighter.
Yeah, Khisrav really needs to control the range. That long left jab of his.
And we know with Renato, he likes to charge at you with his right hand. He's willing to leap across the ring to hit you with that right hand. And there it is again. He's very wide with his shots. And, you know, the thing with Renato with having such a wide stance is he kind of trades up his power a little bit. When you've got a big wide stance, it's very hard to get your power shots off. However, it would be good if Renato just stays a little bit busier as well, because to me, Khisrav, the more rounds that go by, the more he's going to work out Renato's timing.
Renato on the outside here, high guard. So he's really trying to get past that jab. Full start there from Renato, going to the body, getting tied up in the clinch by Khisrav.
Great job by Khisrav there to just tie Renato up and just really tangle him. Not trying to, like, you know, overcommit, not trying to get an ego in play. Tangle your opponent up and get to where you're comfortable. Medium long range is where Khisrav is going to win this fight. He doesn't need to box up close where he's at a risk against someone like Renato, who is shorter, stockier, and probably a little bit more powerful.
But he definitely wants to use that power at the short range inside the pocket. Make this a fight in the phone booth as much as he possibly can. He's got to get past that jab. Great slip there and going down to the body from Renato. Barrage of shots being thrown to the body as Khisrav tries to tie him up in the clinch. But here we go. Chris Sanyadet finally breaking that one up.
I mean, I love that the referee allowed him to continue throwing as well. If one hand is free, you are allowed to keep throwing. And that's what Renato really needs to do. I don't think you're going to outbox Khisrav. I think Khisrav is a better boxer, but Renato, to me, is fighting a boxer right now. So let's see some of these action replays here. So you see Renato, he just throws these big shots upstairs. Now, I wouldn't say there's a lot of power on these shots necessarily, but they're coming in punches and bunches. And if you want to beat a slick fighter, you need to smother them as much as you can. But the good thing about Khisrav is he keeps that right hand very much protecting his chin. He isn't one of those new style boxers who like to dance around with their hands almost like flirting around their chin. He's holding that right hand, covering his chin, an old school style of boxing, but the correct way to do it against someone like Renato, because Renato wants to just take one good shot at you and hope it connects.
Yeah, well, let's see. That was a very interesting round between these two. Jimmy, if you had to score it unofficially one way, which way would you go and why?
I mean, I would probably give it to Khisrav because I think he was outboxing, but if I'm thinking about how the judges scored it, I would probably say they would give it to Renato because he was aggressive, he was coming forward, and it seems like he did the more damaging shots. So, as a boxer, Khisrav. As a judge, Renato.
Well, Renato coming out, being shot out of a cannon in round 2, coming out with real fists of fury, going to the body and to the head.
Beautiful analogy, exactly how he is. He just shoots across the ring and hopes it gets you. He's almost like a spear. He's just constantly trying to get you, but that comes at the cost as well of getting tired. When you've got to constantly move and constantly deliver your shots with a lot of energy, you're going to get tired very, very quickly. And someone like Khisrav is not going to get tired. He's just a sniper. He's got the amateur style boxing, and he's just trying to point you.
But the thing is, the points, I mean, it's normally points can just stack up really, but Renato looks like he wants to end this very quickly by rushing him like a bull.
Yeah, that's another good point, because in amateur boxing you can genuinely stack up points in the first minute of the round and then kind of just protect yourself. But in professional boxing, it's theater as well, so the first minute and the last minute have the same value in a round of professional boxing. So you've got to really impress the judges in the opening round and at the end of the round as well. And that's what Renato does very well. He does very well at the start of the round and he finishes the round strong, which is how he can kind of get close fights.
Jab there from Khisrav, right hand as well by the Russian as Renato came charging forwards. Khisrav going to the body with that jab as well, and right hand upstairs.
And you can see Renato is just getting a little bit more tired here, and this is where Khisrav is going to have the advantage. Just constantly moving towards somebody is already tiring, and Khisrav, you can tell he's got an old school boxing. He's punching with his feet first, and those of you who have studied boxing will know that you learn how to punch with your feet before you with your hands, and you can tell that's what Khisrav is doing right now, and that's going to wear out Renato at this stage.
Right hand there from Khisrav. Renato tying him up in the clinch.
But look at the body of Khisrav, all those red marks as well. And that's something that the judges are going to see as well. So they're going to start crediting Renato's shots of hurting a lot more, even if they are just creating a red mark. And that was a very low shot.
Asking him to go to the neutral corner right here. Chris Sanudet checking if Khisrav is okay. Time off by the referee. So the clock is going to stop at around 35 to 40 seconds.
And we know Renato didn't do that on purpose. Very good for the referee to take control there, Alan.
Yeah, he was reaching in, but reaching a little bit too low, Jimmy.
Sometimes you've got to take those opportunities, and if it lands that way, it just does, and that's part of boxing sometimes. But good to see these two carrying on. Renato's just got to keep firing, because we've already mentioned it, and like I said, I know sometimes I'm a broken record, but you're not going to beat Khisrav with boxing. You're going to beat him by just being aggressive like this. So this is the correct game plan for Renato, but is it going to be enough?
Well, I mean, he just comes in swinging wildly, though. It's shots that Khisrav can see coming almost from a mile away, but he didn't see that one, though, that just clipped him over the top.
Yeah, it's one of those interesting things where if you don't realize that someone, you know, knows how to throw a shot, not that Renato isn't throwing shots correctly, he's throwing it in an unorthodox way, which is sometimes harder to beat. Anyway, Ali, take us through some of these replays.
Yep, that's the end of round number 2, and here are the replays from round number 2. I mean, it really was a matador versus the bull. Khisrav being the matador, just jabbing away on the outside and coming darting in with his spear of a right hand. But Renato just charging forward, trying to land these punches to the body and overhand rights too. Catching Khisrav a little bit too low in the second round. But we are set for 4 rounds of action right here. So we're at the halfway mark, just over the halfway mark now.
A very interesting round, and these are the types of fights that we do like to see. We like to see someone who is somewhat of a raging bull against somebody who is a very traditional boxer. We've got a very amateur style boxer against someone who is pretty much a scrappy MMA boxer, and Renato does it well. He just gets in your face. He's willing to take a big shot to give you a big one as well. He'll take two to give you one, and that's very difficult to deal with.
He's got very wild style, Renato. It's definitely caught Khisrav off guard a couple of times. There's that right hand again. Here we go, starting round number 3. At the same pace that he started round number 2.
Yeah, it's a very clubbing style shot as well, and we can see some blood happening right now. And the referees tell him to fight on, but that blood is pouring out. It's almost squirting. And to be honest, this is the perfect moment now for Renato, because it's not that the blood will necessarily distract Renato, but when somebody hasn't seen their own blood before, it can really offset your game plan as well. And we've got to kind of determine whether or not this was a headbutt or not as well.
Yeah, well, referee Chris Anyudek getting the doctor to check this cut real quick to see if Khisrav can continue. Khisrav complaining of a butt of heads as well. Definitely could have been that, because Renato just came charging in, leaping in to land that overhand right.
I mean, we often see this with, southpaws against orthodoxes. Their heads are going to clash. And, with Renato's style where he leaps across, there's going to be these head clashes. Now, situations like this, if the referee calls it off, they're going to go to the judges' scorecards very possibly. But we're going to have to see, because the interesting thing here is when there's, a 10-round fight, Ali, or a 12-round fight, within the first 4 rounds, if there's a cut, it just kind of gets called a no contest. After 4 rounds, it can be a little bit different where they actually go to the judges' scorecards instead. I'm very curious how they score this one. I'm a little bit unsure as well of how this is scored after 4 rounds. Let's see these action replays.
If so, it'd be really unlucky for Renato. I mean, the reason why this cut has probably been called off is the blood just going into the eye of Khisrav, disrupting his vision and making it more dangerous for him to defend his shots from Renato. And also, if the cut's that deep and it gets worse, it just becomes a lot more dangerous for him. So yeah, like Jimmy said, we'll see what we are going to get on the judges' scorecards, whether it's going to be a scored contest or a no contest. We'll find out very shortly from our Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Peter Denman. We'll see you in the next fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to an accidental head bout, this bout is a no contest.